Welcome back to the Valley today. SpaceX says they conducted a third test flight of their Starship rocket yesterday from Texas. However, during re-entry, engineers lost contact with it before its planned splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Check out this video. The spacecraft was sending back live images of its descent back to Earth before the loss of signal. These images showing the tremendous amount of heat and pressure as the ship was encountering coming back. SpaceX officials confirmed that they lost the Starship craft, but they still called it a phenomenal day, pointing at the data gained and lessons learned moving forward in the program. Best Buy announcing they are recalling more than 280,000 air fryers in the U.S. and Canada over a possible fire hazard. According to the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the company received 24 reports of Insignia air fryers and air fryer ovens overheating, melting, and shattering glass, including 6 reports of the appliance catching fire. No injuries or property damage has been reported. Owners are warned to stop using the air fryers and to file a claim online to receive a refund. Amazon announcing it's holding its first ever big spring sale happening later this month. They say it's like Prime Day, but focused on spring seasonal items. This includes deals on fashion, fitness products, cleaning, and yard work items, including devices like Kindle and Echo. Some of the deals are up to half off. You don't have to be a Prime member, but you do get exclusive deals if you are. It's a 6-day sale. It starts next Wednesday, and Amazon has already marked down some of those items. And if you're feeling lucky this St. Patrick's Day weekend, there are 2 chances to win more than $500 million. Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is now more than $790 million with a cash option of just under $400 million. Tomorrow's Powerball jackpot is up to $600 million with a cash value of $293 million. In local news, students at Willow Park Elementary School had a special day yesterday, meeting the West Fargo Police Department's Comfort Canine Bella. Bella was at the school with SRO Pearson to talk about law enforcement and the benefits of a Comfort Canine. And it looks like Bella was loving all the attention too with those belly rubs. The West Fargo Police Department says they continue to work towards strengthening positive relationships with students through their canine program. VP Kamala Harris came to Minneapolis making a historic visit to an abortion clinic. We'll tell you about it coming up. Plus, meteorologist Lisa Green joining us with a look at our Friday morning forecast as we head into our holiday weekend. It's 6:27. You're watching the Valley today.